If someone says something or does something that you don't agree with, and your first response is to automatically dismiss their integrity, you'll never grow. See, there's a story. I remember I was listening to a radio preacher one time back when I was a Christian. Loved listening to radio preachers on my headphones when I was working. And he was telling this story about him and another gentleman that he never knew, just met. And they're sitting there talking on like a park bench or something. Said the conversation was great. They're getting along. Seemed friendly sort of feller that he was talking to, and yeah, they were just getting along great. But then, 10, 15 minutes into the conversation, this other gentleman dropped an expletive. Whatever it was, shit, hell, dang it, darn it. And the preacher said, well, immediately I knew he wasn't a Christian. And he had to take everything from that point on at a grain of salt because this wasn't from a Christian perspective anymore. So he understood what this man stood for and everything he was about and lost a lot of his integrity to this other gentleman. It reminds me of another story of a preacher we actually had. And he was going on, and this happened a number of different times, but one that steps out specifically is we were sitting here, and I used to listen to, what was his name, Woodrow Kroll, Back to the Bible. And he was one of the preachers I'd listened to, and the preacher I had that I was sitting under at the time said he heard something that Woodrow Kroll said that didn't align with his beliefs. It stepped outside of the true Christian faith, as a good Christian will do. Other Christians are completely wrong. But he said, you should never listen to that program anymore. He's out of line with God's word for one simple thing. And this preacher was known for doing this. If one thing was off about whatever someone else said, if someone disagreed with 100% of what he said, disregard anything they say. They're a false prophet. It's almost like the old biblical reference of if a prophet fails once in his prophecy, he's no longer a prophet, blah, blah, blah. This is how he acted on everyone in life. If you didn't agree 100% with what he was teaching, you had no say in God's word whatsoever. And it shows to me that there's this limiting thought, this idea that will never allow you to grow. Because if you do this and never allow a dissenting view to come in, to let it challenge you, one, your faith will never strengthen. It's going to be extremely weak because you can't stand up to any challenge that may come to it. But two, you'll never grow. You'll never see other viewpoints in the world. You'll never understand anything. And this goes far beyond Christianity and religious mindsets. This is in political realm, in regular society, when someone disagrees and we just automatically discount them as a false teacher, a false person that has no knowledge on anything, just because they don't agree with one thing on this confirmation bias that we have of you have to agree with me 100% allows you to never grow, because you're only going to grow when you hear dissenting views come in, and it challenges you and gets you to see things differently, and it makes you go out and explore to see if opposing views have any truth behind them, and if your truths are really that solid, and if they can be challenged, and if there's facts out there that would dispute them and make you challenge them, then you can actually grow. But when you go out and automatically dismiss someone just because they don't think, act, look, or anything like you, you'll never grow. You'll always be stuck in a bubble, and you're going to get left behind by the rest of society, because we need people that are willing to grow, willing to learn, willing to expand themselves. And only if you can allow yourself to accept dissenting views and let them challenge you and take them in and actually examine them to see what is right in a situation, will you be able to grow and understand the world better. But until you can do that, you're just going to stay in a bubble, and you'll never grow, you'll never get strong, and you'll always be mentally weak.